When you first see the Opel Blitzbus Ludewig Aero, the immediate impression is not that of a bus, but of something far more unusual, almost like a machine that belongs halfway between the road and the sky. The rounded front, with its smooth curvature and prominent vertical grille, looks less like a traditional vehicle and more like the nose of an aircraft that somehow decided to continue its journey on asphalt instead of air. There is a certain confidence in the way it presents itself, as if it was designed not only to transport people, but to demonstrate a completely different vision of what transportation could look like. To fully understand this vehicle, it is important to place it in its historical context. The late 1930s were a period of intense experimentation in automotive design, especially when it came to aerodynamics. Engineers and designers were fascinated by the idea that vehicles could be shaped to move more efficiently through the air, reducing resistance and improving performance. This fascination did not come from nowhere. It was heavily influenced by advancements in aviation and the growing cultural impact of air travel. Airplanes and airships were symbols of progress, and their design language began to influence everything from cars to trains and eventually even buses. The Opel Blitz provided the perfect mechanical foundation for this kind of experiment. It was reliable, widely available, and robust enough to handle modifications. Equipped with a 3.6-liter inline six-cylinder engine producing around 75 horsepower, the Blitz was never about speed, but it was dependable, and that reliability allowed designers like Ludewig to focus on the bodywork without worrying about the mechanical side failing. Power was delivered to the rear wheels through a manual transmission, and while this setup was conventional, it ensured that the vehicle could perform its basic function without unnecessary complications.
What Ludwig did with this platform was transform it into something that felt almost futuristic for its time. The body was extended significantly, creating a vehicle approximately 23 to 26 feet long, with a width of around 7 feet and a height approaching 8 to 9 feet. These dimensions alone made it imposing, but it was the way those dimensions were shaped that truly defined the Aero. Instead of sharp edges and flat panels, the body flowed smoothly from front to rear, creating a continuous line that emphasized motion and efficiency. The front end, with its rounded form, served not only as a visual statement, but also as a functional attempt to reduce air resistance. While the actual aerodynamic benefits may not have been as dramatic as the design suggests, the intention was clear. This was a vehicle designed with airflow in mind, even if the science of aerodynamics was still developing at the time. As your attention moves toward the rear, the design becomes even more distinctive. In the version shown here, the bus features a single central vertical fin integrated into the rounded tail section. This fin gives the vehicle a strong resemblance to aircraft stabilizers and reinforces the idea that this bus was inspired by aviation principles. However, not all versions were identical. Some examples featured 2 vertical fins positioned on either side of the rear, a design choice that leaned more toward the visual language of airships. These variations existed because Ludwig did not produce these buses in large standardized batches. Instead, they were built in small numbers, and the design evolved over time, allowing for different interpretations of the same concept.
This flexibility in design extended to the interior as well. Unlike conventional buses, which focused almost entirely on maximizing passenger capacity, the Aero explored a more experience-oriented approach. In some versions, the bus featured rotating seats arranged at approximately a 45-degree angle, allowing passengers to look outward and enjoy the passing scenery. This created a travel experience that was more engaging and visually interesting, almost like sitting in a moving observation lounge. At the same time, this feature reduced the number of passengers the bus could carry, which made it less practical from a purely economic standpoint. Not every version included this seating arrangement, and some used more traditional layouts, but the idea itself highlights the experimental nature of the design. From a driving perspective, the Aero required a thoughtful approach. Its length and proportions made maneuvering more challenging than in standard buses, particularly in confined urban environments. Steering demanded anticipation, and the driver needed to be constantly aware of the vehicle's size. This was not a bus that encouraged quick movements or sharp turns. Instead, it favored smooth, deliberate driving, where its long, streamlined body could be used to its advantage rather than becoming a limitation. The suspension system, based on leaf springs, reflected the practical side of the vehicle. It was durable and capable of handling the weight, but it did not provide the kind of comfort modern passengers might expect. Roads at the time were far from perfect, and passengers would have felt the imperfections of the surface. However, compared to more basic transport options, the Aero still offered a relatively refined environment, especially thanks to its enclosed body and thoughtful design.
One of the most fascinating aspects of the Opel Blitzbus Ludewig Aero is the contrast it represents. Mechanically, it is simple, almost conservative, relying on proven components and traditional engineering. Visually and conceptually, however, it is bold, experimental, and forward-looking. This combination creates a unique character where practicality and ambition coexist in a way that feels both logical and slightly unconventional. There is also a certain quiet charm in imagining how this vehicle would have been perceived at the time. For someone standing at a bus stop in the late 1930s, seeing this elongated, streamlined machine approach must have felt like a glimpse into the future. And yet, once inside, the experience would remind them that this was still a product of its era, with all the limitations and compromises that came with it. In the end, the Opel Blitzbus Ludewig Aero was not designed to become a mass-produced solution. Its complexity, reduced passenger capacity in certain configurations, and unconventional design made it impractical for widespread use. However, its importance lies not in how many were built, but in what it represents. It is a reminder of a time when engineers were willing to experiment, to challenge expectations, and to explore ideas that went beyond immediate practicality. It shows that innovation is not always about refining what already exists, but sometimes about rethinking it entirely, even if the result is something that remains rare, unusual, and slightly misunderstood. And if you enjoy discovering vehicles like this, rare, unconventional, and full of character, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because there are many more fascinating machines and forgotten stories waiting ahead.